Monday, apparently, and I was a little confused. And I thought I had to schedule my live for Mountain Grandma and myself for tomorrow. And then I realized it was Friday. And when Ryan said, "Are you doing a live tonight?" I was like, "Yeah, it is Friday. Duh." So anyway, welcome to my world. So that's my world. Thinking today was Monday, not Friday. Hello. Um, so I did not get creative with the topic because I literally just posted this like an hour ago, hour and a half ago. So let's see who we got here. So happy Friday, y'all. We got the Cow Emporium. Hello, Annette. Good to see you. Hello, Lisa Calovi. Hello, Gwen, Broke Cowgirl. I'm waiting for you guys to come on back in. I'm sure you probably took off figuring you had another minute or so, and I'm early. So here I am. But yeah, it was um it was a good day. I helped a friend get her. Yeah, happy Friday. I was all screwed up with the days, as I was saying, if you're just coming in, and it was ridiculous. I went and helped a friend. We had family visit, and so that was why I was all screwed up as to what day it was. Well, then I took a friend down to Harvey's Homestead Supply with me after I went and got feed. Well, I went and got feed and yeah, back the tailgate of the truck into the loading dock. I don't want to say barely hit it, but I didn't exactly hit it like I was doing 30 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Like you're backing up slowly, inch by inch. Well, I hit the tailgate of the truck on the loading dock and damaged it, but thankfully it's still closed. So that's my saving grace for today. But now I'm just mad. So we'll have to try and straighten that. But thankfully it latched because I had to get 6 80-pound bags of pig feed. And then when we went down to Harvey's, we I got 4 bags of chicken feed, which are 50 pounds each, and ended up getting a 5th one for free because it was I think 12, you buy 12 bags, you get one free. Yep, rut row, Lisa, rut row. I think it hit like one thing in my life before I moved to South Dakota, and then I moved to South Dakota, and I've hit that truck twice on things. Like, what the hell? Makes me crazy. So yeah, so we'll be fixing the tailgate. Just trying to straighten it out or get one from a junkyard, put it on there. We're not getting it redone. We're not worried about that. We just want to make sure it closes. The worst part is it jacked it up. So even with the tonneau cover on or the torno cover on, now water can get in the back. Dang it. That was the whole reason why we got the torno cover. So yeah, so this is it. So between backing the truck into the loading dock to get pig feed and also um what do you call it? And also then thinking it was Monday. Yeah, I'm a hot mess. Welcome to my world. How are you guys doing? I'm curious to hear how you guys are all doing out there. Um, so while I'm waiting for that, I figured, well, we're gonna chat about why did we choose to homestead? Because I know a lot of you have chosen for different reasons at different points in your life. And hey, Annette Cow Emporium, good to see you, my friend. Um, I think a lot of us choose what we can do. Like you don't have to jump in both feet because not everybody has the land or the willingness or anything to do all that. And I get that. But I think sometimes, like now, you hear people are growing gardens on balconies or on patios, and that's really cool. I think that's great steps to take to start taking control and growing your own food. And I'm a strong proponent of that. And will you have enough tomatoes for the year? Maybe not. But you know what? You grew something. And I think that's really important to do. Maybe somebody's in an apartment and they start making bread. They decide, I'm not buying bread anymore. I think that's really cool too. I think there's such a wide spectrum for homesteading that you can find what works for you in your lifestyle. Tamara, you are so right. And hello, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, it does happen and nobody was hurt. So I will take that with the truck. That's exactly what my husband said because God bless him. He's very understanding. And he just said, I really don't care. It's a vehicle. So, he said, the main thing is you're not hurt. That's what matters. And I said, yeah, well, it's not like my passenger was a friend of mine. I said, she doesn't have whiplash or anything from it. It's not like I hit it that hard. You grow it or make it and know what goes into it. Fresh veggies and fruits taste so much better. They do, Lisa. They do. They really do. I mean, then that's the thing. Like not everybody, let's be real. I cannot avoid the store all the time. I can't. There's no way we could grow it all. I can't make my own animal feed. I can't. There's no way, right? But we do all the things we can do. And maybe, you're in an apartment or a house in the city or whatever you do and you choose to do is freaking cool. He is, Annette. He is. Let me tell you. Yeah, I came home and I felt so bad because the lady at the feed store was like, I'm sorry, because she was guiding me in. She's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm driving the vehicle, not you. It's my fault. And it's not a big deal. I said, it just made me mad because it makes me angry. But yeah, he's a keeper because vehicles are not something he worries about. Now, if it was brand new, he might be like, dang it. But he would never chastise. Well, he would never give me a hard time about it in the sense of being angry, but he will tease me about this for a long time. And I do the same with him. So we're even. But yeah, I think it's, the stuff that you make or you grow on your own, it's just so much better. Okay, last time, Gwen, I'll say it. I went to the feed store today and backed up, and I hit the loading dock and screwed up the tailgate of the truck. We'll leave it at that. I'll give you more info on the side. But yeah, that's it. Not the end of the world. It's still closed. I'm thankful for that. And Ryan was just like, yeah, well, I'll just try to flatten it out. So it's all good. It's all good. And it's funny because he said to me, he's like, that I don't put my tailgate down when I get feed. And I was like, apparently I should have paid attention to that. I said, because I said, he's like, I said, well, the only reason I put it down was she said, hey, why don't you put your tailgate down and back up? And I was like, all right. And I started backing up and boom. Yeah. Thanks, Spark Man. Yeah. Great way to lower the value of the vehicle. Yeah. Exactly, Gwen. It happens. Stuff happens. It's not the end of the world. It just makes me angry in the moment. So I didn't even self-medicate enough at Harvey's when I went afterwards because I was still mad. Usually I go to Harvey's and I'm like, what can I get? What can I get? I was out of the mood by then. Lisa said, hey, Spark Man. Yeah, great way to lower the value of the vehicle. Lisa Colovi, it already has hail damage, Spark Man, because we're tired of fixing for hail damage. Lisa said, you don't want to be the one to do it. Frank backed up our new car into the shopping cart that he placed. Oh, no. Oh, I know it. I know it. I've only been driving a truck since 3 years now. I know that's not an excuse, but I struggle. Like I can go ahead, but I don't know. Anyway, I did it. I own it. Stuff happens. We'll get through it. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I've always driven a car. And that's why I let him do it usually. Our feed co-op, the loading dock itself is the height of our closed tailgate, but the receiver hitch gets rammed quite frequently. Gary driving, LOL. Hey, Tootie, good to see you. That's Broke Cowgirl's grandson. That's cool, Sparkman. I grew up in New York City. I didn't drive until, gosh, I didn't learn to drive until I was in upstate New York, so I was like 25. Remember the rooftop parking for Times Square stores right there? Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Oh my gosh, Lisa, that is a walk down memory lane. Annette said, after years of driving big things, I find the car hard to park. That's funny, I bet. I bet. Gwen started driving at 16 in a truck. Sparkman drove pickups and tractors and semi trucks. Good for you guys. Yeah, no, not me. Mm-mm. I always had smaller cars. I sold my car when we moved out here because Ryan had a work truck. And so I used the truck primarily, and I just said it was stupid to have a car because we don't really need it. And I said, the truck's pretty nice. Till now. No. But anyway, yeah, so we sold my car and kept the truck, and now we have the Dodge and the pickup, the other pickup. So he just said to me, he goes, that's all right. He goes, when that bed rusts off, he goes, I'm just going to throw on a flatbed on it. So is the key word. Poke. Yes, was. Keyword was. But anyway, yeah, that's my day. So then I go down to Harvey's and now I'm still mad, right? And I go with a friend of mine who is looking at every single thing in Harvey's, and like that is just bad for me to do because I could be in there all day. That's right. It's not a bumper truck. Lisa Colobi. It's funny. I love you guys. I can take it. I can take it. So then we're in Harvey's and she's looking at everything like it's a kid in a candy store. And I've been buying my chicken feed from Harvey's because my feed store went to Crumbles and they get limited offerings. So I buy my pig feed there and then I get my pellets at Harvey's now. Because around here, Hubbard layer pellets, Hubbard is the brand, and Hubbard has a loyalty program. So you have these punch cards. So anywhere around here that sells Hubbard pellets or Crumble or whatever feed that I don't buy, but the pellets is what I buy, and that you buy 12 bags and you get a bag free. So they're all 50-pound bags. So Harvey's was the same price as another place that I was getting it. And so I switched to Harvey's because I'd rather give it to the family and I'm still getting the loyalty. So I went there and bought 4 bags and I hit my 12 bags and now I got one free. So I came in with 5 bags of that. So we will have feed for a while, which is really good because the pig feed is going a lot quicker because we have the 2 little guys and lactating mama. So lots of feed going down on the ground for them. So yeah, so back to today's topic. Now that I caught you all up on my nightmare today, not the end of the world. I'll let it go by tomorrow. I'm hoping. But yeah, I think that we all choose to do this for a reason, whatever it is, whether you're in an apartment growing veggies or you're getting chickens or you're getting goats and you're milking goats, whatever it is. And maybe you've been doing this for many, many years and maybe you haven't, and maybe you're just starting. Doesn't matter where you're at, right? We're all on a spectrum of either all in or not, or living in the city, trying to do things we can. And, a friend of mine recently said that they are going to go back to having chickens, and they want to have pigs. They want a couple of our piglets and stuff like that. And they want to learn how to do the things, right? And what I mean by the things is make sourdough bread and do all that stuff. And they're taking chunks excuse me, chunks of things that they want to do and learning how to do it. So she had bought a dehydrated sourdough starter, and I helped her get that going today. And I just follow the instructions. You're good. She ended up getting some fresh milled flour, which is really good. Um, because from a health standpoint, right? Sometimes folks have health issues, and whole grains are better than even organic white flour. So that stuff's good. And next week, we are going to make pasta from fresh milled durum wheat that I bought. I'm going to mill it, and then we're going to make pasta for each other. We're going to spend the day doing that. Make some butter and show how to make some mozzarella as well. So I think that's pretty cool because I love sharing the knowledge because I think that's important. Um, excuse me. I'm just looking at the chat, making sure I didn't miss nobody. Like I said, I didn't post this until late, so people probably thought I wasn't doing one. Um, but I think it's really cool when you can make things for yourself, whether you grow the tomato, you grow the cucumber, you buy, even if you buy store-bought milk and you start making your own stuff, it's just learning those skills. And that way you're prepared to be able to do things should things go badly. You know what I mean? What do you guys think? Excuse me. Tell me what you guys think. I'm curious. Lisa Clovey was saying like it's really cool, to do your own stuff. Sparkman said, sounds good to me. Gwen says, other than Mama, Grandma, and Gary's granny, I've never had someone to do things with like that. I'd love that. Yeah. you know, I'm glad you said that, Gwen, because like I offer a lot. Ooh, excuse me. I'm a bonding. So, I offer a lot. And today I was in the feed store and she was talking about sourdough and how people make it sound so intimidating and people make it not as inviting in Facebook groups. And I said, delete Facebook and call me and I'll help you make sourdough. It's don't get intimidated, because what I learned is a lot of people get intimidated. When we did this with Mountain Grandma, right? We did that sourdough with us thing. And people all said that they were like, I'm so intimidated that I'm paralyzed. I can't do it. And it's like, just gather the information and try it. What's the worst that can happen? You fail, you try again. I mean, it's not that bad. I just want to get the live up on my phone in case I need it. And I know you guys will know what I'm talking about. Excuse me. Let's see. Thanks, Lisa Colovi. You're the bomb. So unfortunately it didn't show that on my StreamYard, so that's why I went to look. Thank you. Teach her how to make that amazing ziti. Yes, I will. I will. I'm going to teach her how to make all the things. So I think that would be really cool, but thank you. Thanks, Lee. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You have to sit there and like take the time. Yep. Gwen said it perfectly. So we're just going to say what Gwen said. It's a recipe. You learn to tweak to your liking. Also, environment makes it different for everyone. Exactly. Because here's the thing, and you know me, I lay it straight on the line. The woman was telling me, several people have told me this, but they felt like they were following beginner sourdough on a group in Facebook, and they felt like it was a cult. Right? And it was a bunch of folks who were like elitists talking about you have to use this kind of flour and you have to do this and you have to do that. Well, yes, there are certain things you need to do for sourdough. Correct. But I don't know about you. I'm not going to buy fresh milled flour before I make sourdough, right? I'm going to learn how to do it first and then I'm going to improve. Hey, Craig, good to see you. But I think that's the thing. Like, unfortunately, sometimes people present information and they make it so overcomplicated and convoluted that it can be really hard. And people get paralyzed by that. They just want simple facts of how to do something. So yeah. So to me, trial and error is a valuable tool. Obviously doing your research and so sourdough, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't rise. It'll eventually rise. It's going to happen. It just may not happen on your time frame of wanting to make bread by tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I just told her, I was like, look, you may not be making bread for a month. I said, and just welcome that and just keep doing your discard like you're supposed to on the schedule, or doing your starter on the schedule. You'll have discard and just do it. So I'm trying to set her up for success by saying that, because I know my starter it took almost 30 days and I thought there was something wrong with me. I just said, be prepared. You're not going to be making bread by the weekend. It's not happening, So I'd rather set her up for success. And then she's shocked and amazed when it rises on day 3, which it probably will. All of that weighing in grams. Yeah, no, give me a measuring cup and spoons. And Annette said, me too. I totally get that. Can I share with you what I've learned, though? Freshly milled flour, freshly milled. So if you buy the grains and you get it milled or you mill it yourself, tends to be lighter and fluffier. And Harvey's Homestead she's been doing experimenting with this. She had customers come in and say, I measure in cups, but the dough is still not right. And she said, I get that you're measuring in cups and there's nothing wrong with that. She said, but freshly milled flour tends to be lighter. Right? So she said, measure it in grams and give me a call and let's see how it goes. And the lady said it came out perfect. So I found that interesting. Thank you, Craig. Craig said the bacon was delicious. We gave Craig some bacon, him and his wife, and thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We've got 2 more pigs growing up to be bacon. Hey, Robin, good to see you, Garden State so-and-so. So I think it's really important that you try things and you have an open mind that it may work, it may not. First time we grew broccoli, grew it out in a raised bed. Nice soil, all that. New soil, right? Nutritional soil, and full of nutrients, right? Grew it in a raised bed. Got cauliflower, got a little bit of broccoli, and then it bolted. Fast forward, we grow cauliflower and broccoli really well. Excuse me. We grow it really well. And that's all from a learning process, because I was like, why is it bolting? Why is it doing this? Why is it doing that? Now I grow in the same season. I grow in the summertime, roll from the spring through to the fall. And I was like, well, I'm getting one head and there's nothing. And it was, a lot of it had to do with it needs cool, moist soil. Evenly moist soil was what I read. So now we grow it in the back with, shade cloth, frost cloth in the spring, shade cloth, and all that. And we wouldn't have learned as much and it wouldn't have stuck with us as much unless we made the mistakes. And I think that's really important, because having things go wrong is a learning opportunity, because I feel you tend to get more out of it. Another good example of that was building the pig areas. We built the pig area. We assumed we were only going to have so many pigs. and then we had a later plan and added more, and what we had wasn't adequate. So we had to change it like 3 or 4 times till we got it exactly how we wanted it. Hey, Alfonso, good to see you. I hope you're having a blessed day. So I think there's a lot of things to be said for, why we choose this lifestyle, what makes us choose it. Um, and I think also analyzing the information that's out there. Sometimes it's really hard to analyze the information that's out there and discern what is good information, what is real, what is not. Especially nowadays with all the social media stuff. Um, and then I think taking it with a grain of salt that everyone does something different and it works for them. So just because they tell you it works for them, it may not work for you, but it also doesn't mean it's the wrong thing. It's just that it's not working for you. So you have to figure out what works for you best. So I think that's a huge one. I know for me, 2020 was older in life, but it just opened my eyes to a lot of things in this country and things that I wanted to take control of for myself. And then as things progressed and time went on, I really struggle. Like, for example, there's a book written about South Dakota. I'm not going to name the name. I can't remember it, quite honestly. And it talks about the history and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but there was a mention in there of a certain store that used to be in Custer. I'm going to leave it at that. And the person was writing this based on their journey during the pandemic in 2020 while we were here. I don't know that there was such a store in town that they referenced. So I'm going to ask around, but it makes me question everything in the book now, because if you're writing that factoid down and if I can't find out that that really was true, that makes me question a lot of things that were written. Maybe that sounds crazy, but to me, just makes me question the source. Because how many times have they published books by like these social media influencers and saying they had cancer and cured it with good food? Now, don't get me wrong. I know that that's definitely a smarter way to do things. Not opposed to it. But what I'm saying is just because I tell you that the cow is pink doesn't mean the cow is pink, right? Because we have to sort through all this information. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not trying to go all conspiracy theory on you or anything. Hey there, Rick. Good to see you. Welcome to my Cape Cod life. Thanks for stopping by. So yeah, so I think it's just something to think about, and we have to discern and sort through all the information that's coming at us, is what I'm saying. So like when it comes to canning, there's a lot of, oh, hey, that's rebel canning, or hey, that's not an approved recipe. I've come a long way in my thinking on it, is that, and again, this is my thinking. You want a pink cow? I want a pink cow. But, the same agency that is put out these tested recipes is telling us that there's nothing wrong with the stuff in our food nowadays. So I have a problem with that. You don't have to agree with me. I'm just telling you, I have a problem with that. They also don't test any more recipes that I'm aware of. If I'm wrong, please tell me. So it's sorting through what we have been told was good our whole lives, whereas the UK and other places, they don't have tested recipes. So it just makes me think, like, I should trust the same people who are putting poison in our food system that didn't need to be there, versus a recipe following food safety. Doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean I'm wrong. Just what I think about when I think about that. So much false information out there these days, Gwen said. I agree. I agree. When was the last time they updated a tested recipe, Gwen? Do you remember? I'm curious. And I'll give you an example. I don't go rogue rebel canning. I just go to like, and I would never like promote and tell you to do it. That's up to you to decide. And if you saw a zucchini video, I made that abundantly clear that it was how I do it. You don't have to follow what I do. But one of the things is, like the cranberry juice and the grape juice. Well, what's the difference between me taking cranberry, boiling water, and sugar, washed cranberries whole, sugar, and water versus making the juice? Well, you could say, well, making the juice, it's already in its end format, right? And maybe they say that that's what's safer to can versus me taking my berries, my sugar, and my boiling water and putting it together, and it extracts the juice over time. The product changes over time in the jar. Maybe that's what they're talking about. I feel comfortable doing the berries in the jar. So, but again, I don't want to come off as like, this is the way you need to do stuff. No, that's not me. Use your brains and research things and find out like what, question things, I think is the most important thing. And I think a lot of us living this lifestyle started to question things, is my point. And questioning things is something we should always do because, again, that cow's not pink. That cow's black, right? Or that cow is a black and white, or it's a brown cow. We can sit there arguing. Okay. Hey, Rebecca, Touched by Yarn. Good to see you. I have a 1938 ball canning book that has stuff in it that they say isn't safe now. 2015 is the latest update for NCHFP canning instructions. I stand corrected. So I want to assume, and again, it's an assumption, but you have so based on the information, you have a 1938 canning book. 2015, I'm sure, I would hope there was some changes in between that, right? Maybe there wasn't. And then 2015, and here we are in 2025, there's not much to change. And if now, more than ever, there's more of a demand. Team Pink Cow. Thanks. Our elders would have starved if they were afraid to can stuff. True. And I beg to the question of, did they have as sanitary a condition as we did? Meaning, we have running water, right? We have running water. We have dishwashers. We have those modern conveniences that can make things sterile, right? We can clean things out. I think food safety is the number one important thing because food safety is where it's at. So are you cleaning your counters? Are you cleaning stuff when you're doing it and all that? It's so important. Yeah, me and Lisa Colovi are Team Purple. Yeah, so the Cow Emporium, she said, not my grandma. Exactly. And that's all the people who were canning back then. I heard once that they lost instructions to some of the old instructions. I've heard that they've just never retested those that were lost. Interesting. I mean, if you think about, I'm just trying to say, if you think about all the things they had to do back then, right? And I think about not having running water, maybe canning on an open fire pit, all that kind of stuff. We are in a much more modern society. a much more modern society, and one that we have more access to cleanliness. And I'm not saying they were dirty back then. I'm just saying, like, they had less access to keep things clean. Like, they would have had to cover jars with towels right after they washed them or dried them out and put a cover on them, that kind of thing. Food coloring at the Colorado Center for the Blind for everything. They use green food coloring for provolone cheese. Huh, interesting. So I remember jams and jellies being preserved with paraffin. I had somebody give me jams and jellies with paraffin recently. I ended up not eating it for other reasons. I questioned how it was prepared cleanly, sanitarily. But it had paraffin wax. So that's wild. And they've since changed that, I believe. Spartman remembers that too. Squash is one of the things they say isn't safe, but it's in that 1938 book. Yeah, so I canned yellow squash and zucchini in my zucchini pineapple and my apple pie filling. Like, there was some yellow squash in there. It's sort of like when I make my chicken broth, I make my chicken stock. I usually start it the night before. After we've had a chicken, I start it. And then I cook it for a while to like an hour or two before bed. And then I cover it and let it sit on the stove and cool off, and I put it in the fridge. The next day I take it out and I boil it to reduce it down more. But I make sure it's boiling for a while before it goes in those jars. Not exactly what the ball book would tell you to do, but I do it because it fits my schedule. And then, like I said, I boil it down. I'm reducing it for hours, so it's simmering, so it's reached the boiling temperature to kill anything off. So that's what I do. Net said her mom also can with paraffin. Yeah, I remember that. It was wild. Paraffin always blew my mind. I don't have experience with doing it that way. I've never done it that way. But it's also like the dehydrating and the freeze drying and all that. You do it until it's completely dry, and then you're good. And you put it in a clean container and you're good to go. And I just want to look back here. I'm trying to think. I'm going to look real quick. How often let's see, approved canning recipes updated? Excuse me. So this is Penn State Extension. Update canning recipes to include modern methods and processing times. Older family recipes may be unsafe if they do not consider the acidity of the food when determining the method of canning. Interesting. Let me read that again. Let me see if you can pick up on that. Older family recipes may be unsafe if they do not consider the acidity of the food when determining the method of canning. So we know there's high and low, right? So high acid is water bath, low is pressure canning. So I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into that, but I'm hearing older family recipes may be unsafe. So if you treat it like it should be with a high or a low acid, which is pretty obvious, I think. So for example, people like to can venison. Interesting. I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. The acidity of the food won't change in the method of canning. Do you mean like it won't change in the method of canning, like it's not going to become lower if you put it in there? I guess I don't understand what you're saying. I want to understand your point. Gwen says, I don't remember paraffin, but I do remember not water bathing jellies, turning them upside down, tomatoes done the same way. Spartman says, sounds like legal CYA to me. It does, doesn't it? So some home canners use methods handed down through generations. Many of these practices were developed by trial and error. Many those that appeared to work were repeated. Therefore, if the jar sealed, it was assumed the food was safe. Unfortunately, this is not always the case. Scientifically tested recipes have determined that adequate acidity exists to prevent spoilage when processed by a given method. Boiling water bath, atmospheric steam canner, or pressure canner for a specified time. Well, if you have a high acid or a low acid and you adjust for elevation, which does make sense to me because we boil at a different temperature, and you're technically processing so that your most dense item in the jar is heated to a certain temperature. Does that make sense? So yeah, I'm struggling. Unless I'm really dumb and missing something, I'm struggling. A tomato is right. A tomato is acidic, but it doesn't change in canning. Okay, that's what I thought you meant. That's what I thought. They also make pH strips. They make pH strips. I bought them, and I haven't gotten to it yet, but I bought them at Harvey's Homestead Supply, right? Because there is a guide for pH, which is what the pH is in a range of being higher is water bathing, and under a certain range is pressure canning. That makes sense to me. So I would rather them promote stuff like that, like how can we safely can anything and give us new reasons why. Let's look into this. Tomatoes have changed over time because of hybrid tomatoes not being as acidic as heirloom varieties were/are. Yep. Then there's this whole, and maybe I'm misunderstanding this, but again, it's just go to the question everything, which I think comes with this lifestyle. Tomatoes that freeze on the vine are the green ones, right? They're more acidic, is what someone told me. Okay. But if I take ripe tomatoes and I freeze them and put them in bags to can them later, that's different because it's not freezing on the vine, was my understanding. Does anyone know about that? Because a lot of us use frozen tomatoes, we core them, we wash them, we take the blemishes off, put them in bags, and then can them once the summer's over. Because I looked into that because I was questioning whether it was really right to do that when I was more into following the right ways and stuff. Let's see what else it's got. Most processing times in books, excuse me, in books published before 1994 are inadequate to control spoilage organisms. In the late 1980s, research was done to revise previously published USDA publications. So the changes to more historical. Take care, Rick. Thanks for being here. Let me see. Before I start that, let me look. Green tomatoes are more acidic. My mama always told me not to eat the tomatoes that froze on the vine. Most people wouldn't because they're starting to rot, right? Anything that gets frosted, I agree. That's why I pick a ton of green and let them ripen. Ned says, I'm so glad I don't can. I don't can a lot. I can more than you, Ned, I think, but I don't can a lot. Oh, geez, I didn't even think about the frozen tomatoes. Yeah, don't freak out. Don't freak out. This is just let's question this. That's all. This is not Lisa said, okay, this is not how it goes because I'm not an expert. So we're just questioning authority. Changes to historical methods. Many of the updated process times are longer to ensure that adequate heat penetrates the coldest part of the jar and is hot enough to destroy spoilage organisms. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to put this link in chat. So if you want to look at it later or whatever, to see I'm not lying to you, because I wouldn't do that. It says some old methods were replaced. It is no longer acceptable to pour hot jams, pickles, or relishes into the jar and just wait for the lid to pop. Today, we know it is necessary to process them in a water bath canner or in a steam canner to destroy microorganisms in the headspace to create a strong vacuum seal. I could agree with that. I don't even question that. I don't. Older books do not include acidifying tomatoes to control botulism poisoning. Yes, I do know that. Gwen, thank you. This was the first thing that came up, and Penn State is usually pretty reputable. But I just figured the article looked like it had the info I was looking for. There have not been here. Use research-tested recipes that are 1994 or more recent. The more recent the canning book, the more likely it is to include the latest home food safety recommendations. Just throwing this out there. So if you have you have all these canning books and they do an update, you have to buy all new canning books. Something to think about. But in the meanwhile, there have not been major changes since 1994. 94. There are continually new research discoveries. Like now they say you don't need to sterilize your jars or your lids. A few recipes. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I skipped one. The latest updates of the Let's Preserve fact sheets include warnings not to can white peaches or elderberries. A few recipes from the 1994 books have been withdrawn. A few years ago, new research indicated steam canning for high acid foods was acceptable if correct procedures were followed. Therefore, a recent canning book is desirable. No, you just change it in pencil in the book. I know, but from their point of view, they're gonna promote their new books, right? So there's their selling point. Now, on the flip side, because I'm not all about bashing um, the government. On the flip side, unfortunately, there are some newly published canning books and lots of internet canning recipes and videos that are not based on scientific research and don't contain safe methods. I also agree with that. So I think that you have to judge for yourself based on your own research what you feel is safe and what is not. That's where it becomes so challenging, right? Because you see somebody canning something on Facebook or Instagram and they're like, wow, they just sound so knowledgeable. Um, they're getting paid and they're also being, what's the right way to say it? They're being dramatic and they want to get paid money. So they're pretty famous because they're talking rebel canning, right? So you have to look at all those different sides of the equation and say, do I want to do this? Do I not? And that's really what it's all about, is thinking for yourself and being able to make educated decisions versus, right? Versus just blindly accepting what somebody says just because you watched a YouTube video, right? I recently bought an NCHFP canning book. That's the National Center for Food Preservation. And she said it's wild because I think it's full of misprints. And you want to know something? I see recipes in the ball book and I go to Google it on the National Center website and I can't find it. So that makes me crazy too. What do you think? I mean, am I nuts? Have I hit the conspiracy point or what? I'm kind of curious if you think that's what's happening. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Do tell. Don't leave me hanging. I'm just curious. I just, to me, it's like I always think about it. Sometimes I see these reels on Instagram and I'm like, wait a minute. That sounds plausible. Hey, Growing with Hudson. Good to see you, my friend. I hope you sleep well. Thank you for stopping by. So, yeah, so I'm just curious, like, what do you guys think? Because you have to look at all this information and decide what is right for you and what is not. And then I think that goes back to some of the reasons why a lot of us got into living this lifestyle. I honestly think Ball does their own testing separate from NCHFP. And yeah, and I wonder when the last time Ball has done, updates, right? Because I mean, they've got all these books. Why not just put it in one big book? Why put all these different recipes in so many? I mean, it drives me crazy. So what I do is I kind of look around and I do know that water bathing, they say what I've read, water bath canning, if it is spoiled, you're more likely to know it versus pressure canned food. So sometimes I'm a little more likely to stray on a higher acid water bathing recipe than I am on a pressure canning one. So, but then again, you look at the UK and they water bath everything. Water bath everything. I find that interesting too. Drives me crazy because Ball has so many books that have different stuff in it, and they're not all on their internet website either, which makes me crazy. Or maybe I've missed that point. I don't know. I feel like I've looked there and couldn't find it. So it's kind of crazy. So living this lifestyle, right? We question things. So I hope I haven't lost you all. Or they don't water bath at all in the UK. Yep, that's right. And they do a lot of reusing jars and stuff like that. Australia does a lot of reusing jars. And again, I think once a jar is sterilized. So I'd be curious what the rates of food poisoning is. US to Canada to UK, but do they break it down related to canning stuff? Yep. Yep, that's right. They fill used jars, put the lid on, flip it upside down. Yeah. And it's funny, I think out of all the things that like I read tonight and I've read about canning and stuff, I see me personally, I see more of an issue not having a strong seal, like using the paraffin. I understood why they changed the thing about jams and jellies and actually getting a stronger vacuum seal. That makes sense to me. That makes a lot of sense to me. Because wax could be porous. I don't think they have access to canners like we do here. They don't. And then what ends up happening is they end up having to pay such a high price to have it imported to them. I know that there's a thing called WEC jars, and I think it's Australia. It could be UK also. But WEC jars are, let me see if I can show you a picture of one. They're glass jars, and they come with a rubber gasket. So, and they've always fascinated me. WEC jars. Excuse me. So, let me take the blur off. Oh, I didn't bring water tonight. I'm sorry. Let's see. Camera. Visual. None. There we go. This is a WEC jar. And you see how it has a lid and a jar. It has a rubber gasket, which is that orange thing. And then if you see here, hold on. See that? That's the metal clip. Oh, I'm trying. That's the metal clip that holds it closed. And it's very fascinating. It's very fascinating. And I kind of look at it like Superb lids. I was looking at them today and they have really thick rubber gasket and they're supposed to get a really strong seal. And one of Harvey's, one of the daughters was saying to me, she goes, you actually get a loud pop when it seals and when you unseal it. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, guys, any last questions? I'm kind of curious. Tell me what you're thinking. You can say I'm crazy if you think I'm crazy. I don't get offended as long as you're respectful. That's all I ask is that you're respectful. Any final thoughts on this? I'm kind of curious. It may be a pink cow. It could be a purple cow. Just remember that. All right. Well, if there's no questions, I'll wait another. Thanks, Annette. Thanks, Annette. I appreciate you. So are you. You're crazy awesome. Spartman says, I don't think it causes me headaches. Well, that's good. Well, that's good. Oh, thanks, Gwen. Thanks. Yeah, I just think it's important because we're just you can't just follow the status quo. We never really should, you know what I mean? But the reality of it is that I don't know. I've had an awakening where I question everything. So I love you guys. You guys are the best. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you accepting me crazy awesome and crazy conspiracy. So is a pink cow where strawberry milk comes from? I'll let you know, Sparkman, next week. Oh, and I forgot, Sparkman, what were the seeds I had to check for you? I forgot to look. Shoot, I just thought of it. What seeds was I going to check to see that I had? And if I had them, I was going to let you know tonight, and I totally forgot. Good night, Lisa Colovi. Thanks for being here as always. Oh, thanks, Joy. Thanks. Think about it, Sparkman. We have an email. It's on our in our about our channel thing. So if you think about it, put that, send me an email, and that way I'll look because I don't want to forget. The meth-headed squirrel is lost. Oh my gosh, you're killing me. Night, I'll keep the tailgate clear, Lisa. Squash. Oh, okay. So it was butternut and acorn, I think. I think so. All right. I will look, Sparkman. I'm going to do that. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you being here, and you're awesome. I love you guys. Have a great day. Take care.